These events took place 2 years ago, though witnesses still refuse to speak about them. It all started at an elementary school when Justine, a third-grade teacher, discovered that out of her 18 students, only Alex had come to class. The other 17 children had left their homes at exactly 2:17 a.m. the previous night and vanished without a trace. No one understood what had happened, and even a month later, the investigation was at a complete standstill. The authorities had no leads, no theories, and no explanations. The parents, overcome with grief and anger, turned their frustration toward Justine. She was the only common link between the missing children. During a heated school meeting, Justine tried to explain that she was devastated too, and that she felt responsible for her students' safety. Instead of calming them, her words only enraged the parents further. The school principal, Marcus, had to escort Justine to her car to prevent the crowd from attacking her. On her way home, shaken and exhausted, Justine stopped by a liquor store to buy alcohol to dull her anxiety. When she returned home, she heard strange, persistent knocking on her front door. Fearing that the angry parents had followed her, she grabbed a can of pepper spray and carefully opened the door. But no one was there. Then she saw something far more disturbing. A fresh, threatening message scrawled across the side of her car. The next morning, Marcus called Justine into his office. For the sake of public peace, he asked her to take a leave of absence. Upset, Justine wanted to speak to Alex, the only student who hadn't disappeared. But Marcus hinted it wasn't a good idea and might only make things worse. Justine decided to file a police report about the vandalism to her car. At the station, she was startled to see Paul, her ex-boyfriend, now working as a police officer. Later that evening, they met at a pub. Drinks flowed, and they reminisced about the past. The next morning, Justine woke up at home, unable to clearly remember what had happened, though old emotions came rushing back. The following day, Justine decided to quietly follow Alex to his home. When she arrived, no one answered the door. She noticed that the windows were covered with newspapers from the inside. Peering through a small gap, she saw Alex's parents sitting stiffly on the couch, staring blankly into space, completely unresponsive. Alarmed, she rushed to tell Marcus about this bizarre scene and suggested they visit the house together. That night, Justine experienced a terrifying nightmare. She wandered through a dark school hallway until she reached a classroom where children sat at their desks, with their heads bowed. When Alex finally raised his head, his face was painted with eerie clown makeup. She woke with a start, or so she thought. In a second, false awakening, she saw an old woman with the same disturbing clown makeup clinging to the ceiling above her bed. Shaken, Justine continued to keep watch on Alex. Justine fell asleep in her car outside her student's house. Later that night, Alex's mother quietly came out, scissors in hand. She slipped into the car and snipped off a lock of Justine's hair. The perspective shifts to Archer, the father of Matthew, one of the missing boys. Archer is consumed by grief. He now sleeps in Matthew's room and each morning replays security footage showing his son running away into the night. Archer spends his days at the police station, pleading for updates. Paul explains to him that there's still no evidence linking anyone to the children's disappearance, and officially, the case is being treated as a voluntary runaway, despite Archer's protests. Archer is furious that Justine hasn't been arrested. In his anger, he even vandalized her car at night, leaving threatening messages. As time passes, Archer begins having strange nightmares. In these dreams, he sees the baseball team his son played on slowly vanish, their faces erased even from photos. In every vision, he sees Matthew running away. One night, Archer wakes to see Matthew actually running down the street outside. He chases after his son, following him to a strange, ominous house with a large, crude weapon hanging by the entrance. Inside, Archer searches a children's bedroom and finds Matthew lying under a blanket. A flash of lightning reveals that the boy's face has transformed into that of an old woman wearing terrifying clown makeup. Archer wakes up screaming. Determined to solve the mystery, Archer studies his city map. He draws a line in the direction Matthew ran. Later, he visits another parent of a missing child to watch their security footage. By overlaying these recordings, he notices that all the children's paths point toward the same area. Two intersecting lines reveal a specific house, Alex's house. While at a gas station, he spots Justine. Suddenly, Marcus appears, covered in blood, sprinting toward them in a frenzy. Marcus attacks Justine, forcing Archer to intervene and subdue him. Meanwhile, Paul is on patrol when he spots a suspicious man trying to break into a window. Paul shouts for him to stop, but the man flees through the alleys. Paul chases him, tackles him, and begins searching him. Paul asks the detainee if he has any sharp or dangerous objects. The man says no, but Paul pricks his finger on a hidden needle during the search. Fear and panic take over. Terrified of being infected, Paul lashes out and strikes the man, knocking him unconscious. As Paul bandages his finger, he realizes the entire incident was recorded by a security camera. Desperate to avoid scandal, he convinces the man to leave town quietly, promising he won't face charges. Paul then confesses the whole incident to his superior, hoping to contain the fallout. He explains that if the man doesn't file a complaint, the footage will be automatically erased from the system after a month, leaving no evidence. The focus shifts to James, a homeless drug addict living in a tent deep in the forest. Out of drugs and completely desperate, James roams the streets aimlessly, checking parked cars for unlocked doors and calling friends and relatives for help. Eventually, James steals a child's backpack containing headphones and a tablet. He rushes to a pawn shop, but they refuse to buy stolen goods. Rejected and frustrated, he tries to break into an apartment, but a police officer catches him. Surprisingly, the officer lets him go. Wandering through the rain, James notices Alex's house. The mailbox is stuffed with uncollected letters, a clear sign that no one has been home for a while. James climbs through a second-story window to break in. Inside, he moves cautiously, using a pillowcase to collect valuables. As he explores, he finds Alex's parents sitting motionless on the couch, staring blankly at a turned-off TV. They don't respond to his presence at all. Gaining confidence, James steals silverware and jewelry. When he ventures into the basement, he freezes in terror. Dozens of children stand completely still in the darkness, eyes vacant, as if hypnotized. Horrified, James flees the house. Later, he notices a poster offering a large reward for information about the missing children. Seeing an opportunity, he decides to call the police. But when he approaches the station, an officer recognizes him, and James panics. He runs back into the forest, where he encounters a strange old woman performing a ritual. Terrified, James hides in his tent, clutching syringes as makeshift weapons. Someone suddenly opens the tent flap. James stabs wildly, screaming. It was Officer Paul. Trying to defend himself, James claimed he knew where the missing children were. After cuffing him, the officer put James in the car. When they arrived at Alex's house, Paul left the detainee in the vehicle and went inside. As night fell, the officer returned, silently dragged James out of the car by his legs, and hauled him into the house. The scene shifts to the school principal. After a phone call to Alex's house, Aunt Gladys comes by to talk to him. She assures Marcus that Alex and his parents are fine, though he senses something is deeply wrong. Marcus insists on speaking directly with the parents the next day. Later, Gladys visits Marcus at his home. During their conversation, she oddly requests a drink of water, but insists it be served in a bowl, not a cup. When she receives it, she produces a thorn-covered branch wrapped in ribbon, secretly taken from Marcus's office. She deliberately cuts her palm, smearing blood on the branch. While Marcus is distracted, she snips off a lock of his hair. Using his hair and blood, Gladys performs a dark ritual, placing Marcus under her control. Soon after, Marcus violently attacks his friend, savagely beating him to death. The witch ties the enchanted stick with Alex's teacher's hair and snaps it in half. The principal keeps following the line, running through the city until he reaches his victim. The teacher tries to escape in a car, but Marcus, while running, gets hit by another car. The spell is broken. Archer visits Justine in the hospital and apologizes for not believing her. They piece together the evidence. All the children's disappearances trace back to Alex's house. The story finally shifts to Alex's perspective. He lives with his parents. First, everything seemed normal, but after Gladys's mysterious guests arrived, bringing strange objects and rituals, Alex began to notice unsettling changes in his family. One day, Alex came home to find his parents completely frozen, paralyzed under Gladys's spell. Gladys told him he must obey her and keep everything secret, or she would make his parents hurt themselves. Terrified, Alex complied. Gladys forced Alex to steal small personal items from his classmates. drawings, toys, keepsakes, which she later used in her rituals. At precisely 2:17 a.m., Gladys completed a powerful spell. That night, Alex's 17 classmates all left their homes simultaneously, walking in a trance toward her house. By morning, they had vanished, sparking the massive investigation. Gladys kept the children locked in the basement, draining their energy to fuel her magic. Only Alex was allowed to move freely, though he was watched closely. When Gladys prepared to leave town, she ordered Alex to pack his things and warned him never to cross the protective salt line drawn around her room. That night, Archer and Justine arrive at the house. As they cross the salt line, they are attacked by Gladys's possessed followers, including Paul and James. A brutal fight erupts. Archer fights James, who seems impervious to pain. Paul strangles Justine, who fights desperately and kills him in self-defense. After the fight, Archer discovers the basement and the missing children. Upstairs, Alex realizes he must act. Using a wig and thorny branches, he performs a counter-ritual. His spell breaks Gladys's control just as his parents burst through the door. The freed children rise up enraged. Gladys flees, but the children chase her through the house and into the streets. In a climactic moment, they catch her and kill her, breaking her dark magic forever. With the spell broken, the children are freed. Archer finds his son Matthew and embraces him tearfully. Justine leads the others to safety. Alex hugs his parents, who are still alive, but mentally broken by the ordeal. They are later sent to a psychiatric hospital. Alex goes to live with other relatives. Most of the children gradually recover, though some remain mute and deeply traumatized. The film ends with a somber reflection. Evil had infiltrated their town quietly. Children were saved, the scars, both physical and emotional, would never fully fade.